Hi, it's Dave here. I'm not with my wife, Kathy, today. I am joined with Lee and Naylor from the What's the Point Paranormal Podcast. Get in there, lads. Let's all huddle together awkwardly in this public place. We're in Leicester Square. Outside, we just had some tapas.
Yeah, you haven't put your debit card down yet, Dave, by the way.
You noticed. I'm not trying to scab out of this.
I missed the tapas. I've just arrived late, so I'm nursing a San Miguel. I've got to smell it.
San Miguel's out.
Smell it. The cards are down, so Dave is a pleasure.
That was the sound of a card going down.
That's a huge wallet, Dave. That's like a doorstop.
I'm rolling in it, man.
I keep loads of cards, but that is...
Are you both collecting Premier League stickers in there?
All right, I'll give you... All right, everyone, rare insight into what's in my wallet here. There's... about 41 used train tickets.
That is ridiculous, man.
I must go to a...
Why are you saving them?
Are you claiming them, Mac, or something?
No, I just forget that they're there.
How can you forget that?
I've got some... Oh, look, I've got some Cinemile business cards. I had those.
Oh, give me one.
Yeah, I'll
That
have
one. There you go.
So what if I tell people that I do it and I'm happily married to a lovely woman called Kathy? Please,
Sure,
Dave.
why not?
Let's have a look.
You're going to have to change your accent up a bit.
Oh, right, yeah.
Cinemile.
This is actually a good time to plug our email address. Do you want to read it out there, Lee?
It's thecinemile@gmail.com. You can also visit our website at www.thecinemile.com. Why not tweet them at @thecinemile? The Cinemile, a walk home from the movies with Dave and Kathy.
I'll just say, I apologise if you didn't quite get that. A group of school kids just walked past, and I mean, I know we're in Leicester Square, and it's the holidays, so they're enjoying themselves, but I mean, come on.
Keep it down.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
this is a family area of London.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all here just to have a bit of fun.
We're trying to do an award-winning podcast here.
Yeah.
This won't be one of the ones he enters, I think, next year.
I'm going to keep this one in my back pocket.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here's the bill.
Thank you very much. Can we be annoying and split that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want two different bills? Or...
No, that's all right.
What's easier for you?
Whatever's easier, yeah.
No, it's the same. As
Cool.
you want to split, half and half?
Yeah, go. Let's go half and half.
Please, yeah.
Okay, I take the...
Brilliant. Thank you.
Oh,
Podcast
so you need to
gold.
get a calculator. Shit.
I mean, I couldn't.
I told you we should have just...
Do you wait for her to finish before we get onto this film?
Oh, now let's talk about the film.
All
Let's
right.
talk about the film we're going to go see. We're going to see A Quiet Place.
Yeah, which I'm a bit worried.
What do you know about this,
I didn't
Naylor?
know much about it. I had a look at it on the way to the station. I'm really worried now that no one's going to say anything in the whole film.
It's possible.
It's going to be before the talkies. It's going to be a silence. Yeah.
Is it a silent?
It's
I have-
27 and 73.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll put that... I can do that contactless, can't I?
Now, all our listeners know what high flyers we are now.
My PIN number's
Throwing
9838. Thank you, 9838. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know a lot about this movie. I know that John Krasinski, famously from the US office, is the director of this, and I think he did a draft on the screenplay. He stars in it with his wife, Emily Blunt.
They're married, aren't they?
Yeah.
How do you think
They live out in Richmond, actually.
How do you think you and Kathy would fare starring in a blockbuster film together?
That we wrote and directed.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty hit and miss. There'd be a lot of this. I mean, there'd be a lot of scenes about like splitting bills and and putting debit cards down. A lot of the sort of nonsense that we think people want to listen to.
Bickering.
Yeah.
A lot of bickering.
Oh, so much bickering.
Spend a lot. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So I'm freaking out of it because
Mr. David
you don't like-
Corkery.
I'm not.
From the Halifax, no doubt. Yeah.
I'm not saying I
Stop
don't
reading
like,
things.
I'm not saying I don't like films with people aren't speaking in it, but I mean.
But you don't.
No. And is there going to be subtitles? I mean.
We
you
can't
know.
subtitle them not saying anything.
Oh yeah.
What? What's it going to say? Like brackets silence.
Nothing is. They're not saying anything. No one is
The
saying
film's
anything.
not broken.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just no sound.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Excited. I mean, I can't think of another film I've watched where no one says anything for ages.
Nosferatu.
Maybe Fantasia with Mickey Mouse.
We
That's
watched
just music.
Nosferatu the other month.
Yeah, but that was. Oh, yeah, no, that was all right.
A masterpiece of silent cinema.
It was quite good.
He was enraptured by that film.
To be fair, that
Were
was
those your words?
It was about 20 minutes long, isn't this going to be about 2 hours though?
Possibly, yes.
Right. Yeah.
We'll get a load of cans before we go.
I mean, the poster said it was Fantasia meets Nosferatu. So
oh yes.
I think we're in for a treat.
Right, knock this on the head. Let's get in there.
We'll
Right.
see you on the other side.
Who are we if we can't
Hi, we're back. We're just out of a quiet place and we've gone straight to a noisy place. See what I did there?
Right,
I mean, it's not just serious stuff on this podcast.
They don't give these podcast awards away for nothing. Now that was a link. That was a link.
It took me an hour to think of that. I wasn't really watching the movie. I was just thinking about.
That's
what I
why
would
you
say.
went to the box for half an hour and came back going, yes!
Nailed it! With 4 A4 pages full of scribbled out notes.
Being the big men we are, we stupidly took in another drink and it backfired, didn't it? It backfired. We should have. You could have done without it.
Yeah, my bladder crumbled. And, firstly, we made the mistake of, we picked aisle seats deliberately, thinking, easy escape. I always like the aisle, personally, in the cinema.
Yeah.
But it was one of those one aisle cinemas. They never told us that. So we were at the wall. So we had to crawl past all these people.
The irony of it, watching this film, This Quiet Place, was the two people next to us. I'm sure he hated it worse than me because he's hated this for years. But they were so loud with their popcorn and all that. But they were chatting away when you went past them. When you
I went
exited
past
early.
She came back during one of the most tense scenes in the film, and I thought, fair play, Dave. These idiots. This guy, I don't know if he'd been on a sponsored hunger strike or something, but he didn't stop. Can we I don't know if you've had this subject on the cinema before, but can we just say now, eating in the cinema is for idiots, isn't it? Are we saying that? Are we saying that now?
Wait, hang on. You're saying a blanket ban on
Lee,
all eating?
Yeah. No, I'm saying I'm coming out on the cinema aisle now and saying it. Do a poll or whatever it is you do on your social media stuff. I don't know.
At the cinema aisle on Twitter.
At the cinema aisle on Twitter.
Should you eat in the cinema? Yes or no?
Should
That's
anyone eat anything at the cinema? Shut up.
You're coming down hard on
Can
this.
anyone not go 90 to 100 minutes without eating something? Yes or no? You're there to watch a film. This thing's cost upwards of 10, 20, 50, 100 million dollars to make. Why do you need to be eating during it?
Get off your
Just
ivory
shut up.
tower now, Lee.
I'm not in an
made
ivory
of crisp
tower.
packets.
No,
and
just
look. No. I disagree.
Ban.
I think
you're wrong.
It's an enjoyable comfort. It's a nice. You're there to
I
relax.
think Lee's gone really militant. I'd come in the middle on here and say there are softer things you can eat. I love popcorn and that, but it is a bit mental when you're sat next to someone.
Crisps should be banned.
Have a really melted caramel like we had.
Yeah, fucking Naylor, you legend, brings out three melted caramels.
I mean,
and Dave,
you refused.
Because you were laughing at yourself at how awkward it was that you were opening a pack.
All right, well, we are going to put this to the viewers. I think you're right. I think we're going to put a Twitter poll up here. And, obviously, the democratic vote is the...
I think cinema should do a little Instagram story poll of it as well. I know you guys are on there, and apparently that's the thing people are doing on these stories now.
I didn't train these guys to do this.
Popcorn at the cinema, yes or no?
First time I went on a cinema date with Foxy, she made a joke about getting popcorn. I said, I won't sit with you if you do. And she laughed. She thought I was joking. I said, go on then. But I won't. I'm not being funny, but I just won't sit with you because it'll wind me up too much. She bought popcorn. I sat 2 rows back.
And she's still marrying you.
Yeah.
Good on you, Foxy.
Well, because she knows that I'm a man of my principles.
It's true. That was what sealed the deal for her.
Yeah.
A Quiet Place is a movie. It's a horror movie. It's, for anyone who doesn't know, quick synopsis. We're living in some sort of world here full of creatures that are blind but operate entirely by sound. So if you make a sound, they're going to come there and they're going to eat you. And we follow a family who are trying to survive in this world. And that's basically it. I thought this movie was brilliant. I absolutely thought it was excellent. Really thrilling. Almost every scene in this was something I hadn't really seen before. And they just took a very simple premise, built the world with visual exposition, and then just came up with super inventive ways to play on that concept. And I think we'll talk about this in the spoiler section a bit more. But I'd recommend this so highly.
I think once you've got a really clever premise like this, I'm sure it's not the first time it's been done. I'm sure there's been horror films where you can't make a noise, stuff like that. But once you got this premise that is written on the back of a coaster that says there's these monsters, they can't see you, but they can hear you. Like, the scenes just kind of, they don't write themselves, but every scene has an extra layer of tension and inventiveness and stuff that you can do. And they did smash it all the way through. I said to you at the end, even though it was like 95 minutes long, I felt like it was about 15 minutes too long. I felt like, I thought all the scenes were brilliant and they were all really tense, but I feel like once you did the first 3 or 4 of them, it was kind of repeating itself a little bit, and it's all building towards an end that was more of a Hollywood end than I think this film needed. I think it needed a much more understated, even though the ending was ambiguous, I won't give any spoilers away, it kind of bought into that kind of, a bit like Signs, like an M. Night Shyamalan film. It was a bit like, right, we need to do something bigger than this, it can't just end ambiguously, and that's what I was dreading, and that's what happened. It doesn't take away how amazing the rest of it was, but for me, it kind of outstayed its welcome, but it was still brilliant.
See, I feel completely differently. I was like ready for another half hour of this. I could have stayed in that world a lot longer, and normally I'm advocating for films to be shorter all the time, because the 2-hour mark has become the average, and that tends to be too long for most films. 90 minutes is what I want in a movie, but not this case. I felt like I could have used a little more here.
Yeah. Go on. No, I wouldn't have minded staying in that world for a little bit more. It was just the inevitability that I was thinking, right, we're pushing on for 90 now. If they go like a bit further than this, they're going to have to add a third act to it. They're going to have to add another layer to it where the deaf girl thing, I won't give any spoilers or anything, but there's basically like an extrapolation, an extension of some of the kind of mythology of the film that they build around, and you just knew that they were going to have to build on top of that eventually, whereas I would have preferred if they just left it ambiguous.
Okay.
I could have seen another film after that about it, but I think as a kind of origin film, that was so nice and so family based, and it just didn't need that kind of Signs, kind of almost like a twist thing at the end.
And just to be clear, everybody, Lee means like nice and family based, in that it's about a family.
Yeah.
Not
it's
that you should
insular.
bring your family to this movie.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh yeah, and if you bring,
not a family
if you bring them, don't get any popcorn. Yeah. Well, you've all gone about the length, so I won't say anything about that. But I thought it was really good. I said before I was a bit worried about it going to be silent. There was no speaking, but it was kind of. I mean, fair play to those guys. It was. I read a thing earlier about how someone said to him, the director said to him, "You'll see how you only realise how good your wife is at acting when she starts acting. You know what I mean? When you're in this film together, and like that for child actors as well." Because once that's taken away from you, all like your funny lines and your little bits like that was like kind of really impressive for that long to just be like.
And they were great, weren't they?
Yeah.
Great kid actors.
Both of them, and the older girl, the deaf girl in it particularly, who looked a lot like
the dad, John Krasinski,
and the boy off Stranger Things with the curly hair. Like very similar. I don't know if they're related or what, but yeah, very good.
Yeah.
And for me, although I said I wasn't going to go on about how long it was, I'm the same as you. I like in the old hour and a half, 80s, 90 minutes, wrap it up.
Yeah, 90 minutes used to be the thing, right?
And I think that's exactly what that was. And I get what he was saying. We won't go into it. There was a bit where they could have ended it, they didn't, and then they ended it about 10 minutes later. But I thought it was good. I thought that was quite good, and like it added a bit to it. I think
it's a neat ending. I get what you mean about the Hollywood stuff. Let's talk about that more in the spoiler section. I wonder what more we can really say without going into specifics. This is I thought this was really well directed. I thought there was a lot of neat little touches to it. I thought the sound design obviously is very important in this, and the way they used sound as a device for tension was very good, because obviously they take away the sound for so long that when sound comes back in, it crashes back in, and that becomes terrifying, even if it's even if it's something insignificant like a toy falling on the ground. The sound of that is terrifying because you know the implication of what that means for them.
It's a clever way. I mean, horror films are built on sound design, a lot of them. It was a clever way of, as you say, like bringing sound in really loudly to get the scares. Nothing particularly sophisticated in that. That's like as old as sound in film is. But the fact that it was packaged in that neat way of the deaf girl, when she puts the hearing aid on, all of a sudden she could hear, and then you hear her, because there's a monster there. That's just a neat way of packaging that kind of scare. And the direction of it was really clever, because it was kind of like, because no one can speak or anything, you had these really long, almost strangulated scenes where people were just signing to each other, and the scene wasn't allowed to end because you were just hanging on and like looking in the corners of every frame and going, what the fuck's happening and stuff. But then it also played with just really, really like archetypal scenes of the genre, like the raccoon falling off the roof. He's like, it may as well have been a black cat hissing at him. Like, just it was a really generic horror film in a lot of ways, but because that was hidden in this really amazing kind of device of not being able to talk, everything looked fresher then. Everything just took on a different meaning. But there was a lot of tropes from horror film, like
you're right.
It was like Alien, it was like Jaws.
They used everything except the bathroom cabinet mirror that you open and then you close it and someone's behind it.
It had the like, lean against the wall, look one way, then look the other, and the monster's there. That's been seen like probably most famously recently in Fellowship of the Ring when they're in the cave, and he shuffles around the pillar, and the cave troll's there, and then he shuffles around and it's not there, and just really generic, like easy stuff to do. That bit where it was quite a clever thing where he took his kid out to the waterfall and he said, "Go on, scream. They can't hear you because the waterfall's really loud. Just scream." I was just imagining like if you were in that film and Krasinski came up with his kid and you were just in the waterfall with your top off, just screaming, and he went to you, "Oh, you're doing that so the monsters don't hear you," and you just go, "Oh no, what monsters, mate? Well, you're no, I'm just screaming at a waterfall."
I've been coming here every day for 3 weeks. What's this you say about monsters?
All right, I think that's a good point to move on to spoilers because there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. So spoilers now for A Quiet Place. We're moving over to the spoiler corner of the pub. Most pubs have them. You should all just ask your local bartender which part of the bar
hole, the spoiler corner.
Yeah, the spoiler hole.
Yeah. If you are American and are coming over to England, don't ask, because you're not going to get some jovial bartender who'll have a laugh with you and say, "Oh, the spoiler corner is over there." Someone will just stare at you blankly.
You will be asked to leave.
Yeah, and then say, "What do you want?"
No, come on, lads. It's Britain. Nobody asks anyone to leave. You'll just stare at them passively, aggressively.
They know no one ever. They know they're not going to get any tips, so no one bothers.
Yeah.
Why would you?
You mentioned the waterfall thing, right? I thought that was clever. I thought this film was filled with like super clever things.
I thought that was clever. I think that was unnecessary still, though. Unless humans have a need to scream.
No.
Don't risk it. Don't risk it.
He brought him there so they could have the conversation about the sister, and so they could build up to that emotional climax, right?
So what I thought was sad on that bit was the kid was obviously so used to it and his head was so shot that like I thought it would be a bit of him screaming and then them just both laughing and having a laugh for a bit and being like, "Oh, we're screaming," but like he did one and then it was straight into like why didn't you tell my sister that you know what I mean, why didn't you tell her that you love her enough? It's like if I was him I'd be straight into like, "Listen, Monopoly is rubbish." And it's even worse when you can't speak or have a laugh while you're playing it. I'd be like moaning about that all the time. But this kid, he must be about, 10?
I can't tell. I understand.
And he's straight into some really but I suppose if that's the only time you can have a chat, it's either going to go two ways. You're either going to go like, "See that Ronaldo goal the other day," or you're just going to be like, why did you hold that pillow over your mother?
Like, do you know what I mean? We played Monopoly 3 weeks ago, and you landed on Oxford Street, and you didn't pay up.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to argue at all.
That's a great point about the Monopoly. I thought the baby coffin thing was such a an ingenious and terrifying concept. The whole thing. Because can we talk about why she was pregnant at all?
I mean, all I can think is we touched on this coming out of the thing earlier about I'd actually written why would you get someone pregnant and how are you going to give? Because this was before I was getting my head around how are you going to give birth to someone quietly? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But then also I'm thinking, how careful are you being with sound? So what's louder? Opening a Johnny wrapper or do you know what I mean? I'm trying to think, is that why you would be having sex with that? I don't know.
That's why they didn't use
I don't know. But that's what because it's
too loud.
It was hard to tell sometimes how loud was too loud.
Yeah, what the rules were with too loud, yeah. Because sometimes some of the babies, little squawking, they didn't even bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
But then earlier in the film, when she stumbles on a little bit of carpet with a really little muffled like that, it was like, fuck, which was really good at the start. But that's why towards the end it went just slightly inconsistent with some of the bits they were sprinting, when he was running through the cornfield. I was like, no, shut up, that's going to just get down on the floor. It lost a lot of that kind of purity, I think, towards the end.
I think the rules were as long as there's always something louder than
but it wasn't, because he was running through a cornfield and making loads of noise.
It'd be really interesting to have Kathy have come and watched this film for a reaction to someone who's just had their waters broken. Someone who's just had their waters broken and then stepped on a nail and not made a sound.
What a great setup! That's
amazing.
Just genius.
Really good and
Also, I would have been really interested in Kathy's reaction to a father who took his kid to a waterfall to scream at it for some father-son bonding while she was heavily pregnant in the flat.
To be fair to him,
she was 2 weeks
early, mate.
Yeah.
No, well, 2 weeks out, it doesn't matter, does it? It's not like she can just call the ambulance.
Yeah, she just got to flick the old red lights on.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to do a litany of the reason why he's a bad father now.
Oh, please go.
So he took his kid to scream into a waterfall while his wife was heavily pregnant. Yeah. When the monsters inevitably came because she started giving birth, he hid behind a tree with his youngest son, the son who wasn't butchered by a monster, and then he went to him, go and distract them. And the kid goes, what? And he went, no. Well, he did this in sign language, but he basically went, no, honestly, trust me, go over there and light a firework to distract them. It'll be fine, mate. It'll be fine. Locks his wife in a flooded cellar with a baby, with a screaming baby, and then bafflingly somehow lost both of his remaining children, not including his newborn kid, in a wrecked silo full of corn. And on top of that, all he ever does in the film, all Krasinski ever does, is puts his finger to his lips and tells people to be quiet while he's running around with a shotgun and screaming at waterfalls.
We get it, Dad. But then you could say then in the end, he does make the ultimate sacrifice. It's like one of them blokes who's left his kid when they were 7, meets them at Burger King every Saturday for 5 years, and then ends up pushing them out of the way of a car. You'd have to say, at the end of the day, he put himself on the line and he kept them alive. This is
his fault.
This is still in the spoiler thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that is a massive one. Yeah.
I thought that was a nice moment.
I thought he was going to.
Yeah, it was good.
Because I liked. The reason I liked that bit was because I thought he was going to do that and then axe its head off, and then sort of carry both the kids back and be like, yeah.
Well, he could have tried, right? He just drops the axe. He could have just screamed and then had, come at me.
The thing I liked about it up until the point after Krasinski's death was that the film was making no allowance. There was never any entertainment of any kind of Home Alone setup where they were just Terminators in a biological like there was no fighting them. You saw Krasinski swing, he's a big guy, swing full pelt on their heads, and it did nothing. And I liked that thing of like, this is, you can't do anything to these lads.
And you do see the word indestructible written in the visual exposition newspaper article. I love all that stuff. I love that the Daily Mail is still going in this world, and they're writing headlines like it's sound that get
I love that.
Sound is the problem.
I love that they've lost their youngest kid because he made a sound and these monsters came in at him. They've lived, for what we can tell, since the 0 hour event for about a year and a half in this world where all the papers, everything, are saying they can hear but they can't see, they can hear but they can't see, they can hear but they can't see. They've seen it firsthand countless times, butchering people, and he's got this little whiteboard that just says creatures can't see as if he's going to go in and go, right, get to work in my workshop, right, oh yeah, they can't see, right, okay, right, well that's that idea out the window then.
Get black bags.
Need more GIF.
I mean, it will inevitably, or will it, I don't know, will it get, you two know a lot more about films than me, will they get criticised for, would you be able to survive giving birth to your own kid like that and then within an hour be standing up shooting people and stuff? I mean, she lost a lot of blood.
It wasn't an hour later.
This is a Hollywood birth, for sure.
You'd have to go to some sort of hospital though to lose that amount of blood, wouldn't you? Because you have to have a transfusion or something.
I'll tell you. Well,
I mean, I don't know.
Well, obviously, me and Kathy have been through this once, and I'll tell you one massive Hollywood misnomer we've learned is that the pregnant woman's water only breaks before at the first stage of pregnancy in only less than 5% of cases.
So some people don't have that.
No, your water doesn't break at all, or it breaks way towards the end when you're in hospital. So anytime you see water breaking in a movie, it's statistically highly unlikely.
But it's a good sign for us, isn't it?
Especially in a movie with no sound.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have relied on Emily Blunt making a sort of face.
I suppose they kind of had to do it. I thought that I thought for a second, this has gone well. I thought that that was meant, she was basically just going to have a miscarriage in this bath, and then they were going to get eaten as well. And I was like, that's.
Well, when it came down into the cellar and the top of the baby coffin was ripped off, I thought it had the baby out.
Same.
And I thought, I was a bit disappointed when I heard the baby gurgling, because I thought, here we go. Because I thought, the baby's. No, I thought, right, the baby's dead. He's going to get well dark. No, I thought he was going to go really dark, like The Mist. And I thought, because if this was this kind of world, only the strong survive, and unless you've got your eye on that kid all the time, it's going to die. It's a little pink thing, his brain isn't even properly formed yet. It's going to get fucked.
I'll tell you what, though, as quite a new dad, you would have enjoyed having that kid. I mean, faced with all that was happening, it was giving the odd little meh, but I mean, it wasn't crying or anything. You must have been like,
what a dream.
I think it might have sensed the tone.
A little bit. Things aren't cool here. I thought that scene in the flooded basement was brilliant. I thought that was possibly the most tense scene in the whole thing, especially when the alien just whatever it was, just glides into the water.
That was like Alien Resurrection. It was like Jaws.
It is like a lot of things.
It was like, it was really,
but it was
really
still
horrible.
very good. But it's all those little elements. It just adds all the little pieces together. It's like, okay, she's woken up. The thing, it's just all these series of oh shit moments. It's like, all right, she's awake. The room is flooded. The baby isn't there. There's a monster in the room. And it's that's such a good little scenario to build. It's but all these great little. And also the corn, the kids in the corn thing,
the silo
sinking
thing,
in the silo.
I imagine they probably weren't insured either. for that gaff. So, and that's going through her head as well.
Well, come on, they were living in a hipster wedding, really, weren't they? I mean, they were. Everyone was wearing floral dresses, and there was fairy lights everywhere.
It did have California, you made photos you see on Instagram, and you think, oh, I'd like to have gone to that.
Yeah,
you'd be getting craft nails out of like a big bucket filled with ice.
I'd like to go for that, but I'm not paying £800 to go to California to go to your wedding
in a barn filled with monsters that only react to sound.
Yeah.
Classic.
I will say that I think, like, because you said earlier, I know we're getting on a bit now, but you said earlier you really love this film because you don't feel like you've seen like loads of the scenes. You've never seen anything like that before. I disagree massively, but not in a negative way. I feel like I'd seen a lot of scenes like this before, like the nail thing, the thing that you just said about the basement scene, which was absolutely amazing. Yeah, like Home Alone, yeah. Absolutely amazing, like the silo scene, like all of the wicked, like, tense scenes that they did conjure up films like Jurassic Park and Alien and The Omen and stuff like that, but not in a kind of negative ripping off way. It was kind of almost like a homage to it, I think. But because it was all wrapped in this massive thing that again could just be wrote on the back of a matchbox, the monsters can hear you but they can't see you. It just immediately adds another dimension to it.
Yeah, it's just a classic elevator pitch.
Yeah,
isn't it?
so they didn't
high premise.
Yeah, so they didn't actually need to do anything that was visually anything different than anything we've seen before. Like, I thought Jurassic Park about 3 times watching that. Like,
it's true. I also thought of The Last of Us, the video game. The monster design is a lot like those.
The monsters were brilliantly designed, but I thought of a few different. Like, it was something quite Resident Evil about them in a way.
Yeah,
very alien, like just the environments, the rural environments, everything. Seen it a lot of times before, but
I guess the difference is we've seen. We've seen this before. You take a great concept. And it can be fumbled so easily. But what they did was they took the great concept, they took a lot of things we've seen before, added a sort of a sprinkle of difference to it, kept it all within the confines of the premise, and then just brought the whole thing home without really any mistakes.
And they didn't go too mental about. They knew they had a wicked premise, so they said, right, let's do a normal horror film with this wicked premise. Let's not do the how are we gonna conquer all the aliens thing. Let's not bring loads of other people into it. Let's not make an army. Let's not have like, oh yeah, we can beat them by doing this.
Punching the alien in the face.
Let's just keep it. Let's just learn everything we know about how to scare people. And it's just a what if film. It's a classic what if film. What if there was a monster that could hear you but couldn't see you? It's brilliant. Like, can't believe it's not been done before.
And I also liked that they made being deaf almost a superpower. Like, this family survived because they knew how to communicate with sign language.
No, as well with the deaf one, it was nice. Like it was kind of leading towards. There was a few parts of it where you were thinking, oh, the dad is favouring his son because it's his son, even though the daughter is obviously a bit more robust and could probably handle herself a bit more. Is he being a bit sexist or whatever? And you could, but then one of the main
sexist.
Yeah, he was, but like one of the main bits of it then when she felt very let down by him and the fact that he was we're still on this spoiler thing now, aren't we? Yeah. He was consistently
You're so confused.
He was trying to give her. He presented her with a new hearing aid halfway through the film, and she kind of was just like, "Look, none of them ever work. Leave it, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm deaf.
Concentrate on keeping all your kids alive for once."
And he had this underground place which he was like getting ready for him, and she basically wasn't allowed down there. And he was like, and she's obviously, he's made this sacrifice and he's gone, and they've sort of kind of made up a bit, but she's gone down into this room and found that like he's been doing is trying to make a hearing aid to hear properly. So he's like, she's obviously been on his mind all the time. And I remember thinking, I've written down at the time that like it was brilliant that's what he did have down in this room. other than like just a pile of like adult erotic literature and like a Game Gear or something like that.
Game Gear.
Game Gear.
Yeah, remember them?
Yeah, they were wicked. Yeah.
No one's ever talked about a Game Gear in
She like
about 30 years.
she would have been gutted, but yeah, and yeah, I don't know if I said before, but yeah, very good,
Yes.
good actress as well.
I guess that's good advice. If in normal life, if your dad tells you not to go down to the basement,
Yeah.
Don't go down to the
Yeah,
basement.
don't
It's,
bother,
it's usually not a beautiful act of self.
Yeah.
And that feels like the perfect place to end this. Lads,
Thanks again, Dave. It been a pleasure.
yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming into
It was
this
a joy. It was a-
cozy booth with me.
Yeah, a lovely bit of tapas beforehand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a nice meal. We went to the cinema. It's just a classic sort of date in central London with 3 adult men. All right, we are going to do a little What's the Point Paranormal podcast on this film. If you want to go listen to that, where can
It'll be
people
similar
find
to this, but no, it won't be at all. It'll be. I mean, you might like it, but it will be.
No,
compared
you
to-
like it.
Oh,
Go
right.
and listen to it.
That's how you promote something.
Yeah.
So where can people find that?
Oh yeah, well you can find us on Twitter at WTP Paranormal. We're also on SoundCloud and iTunes. What's the Point?
We should
Comedy
start an
Paranormal
Instagram
Podcast.
as well. I mean, and we should do the podcast every.
Yeah, let's
couple of weeks.
concentrate and do it every 2 weeks
Yeah.
to start with.
Thanks, Dave and Kathy.
Yeah, thanks, lads. We're at the Cinemile, as you already know. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Email us thecinemail@gmail.com. Normal service next week. Thanks again, lads.
Hey!
Hey!
Yeah.
All right, and we'll probably finish on silence. I think that'd be appropriate, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'm signing stuff. I'm signing.
Yeah. Silence. What's silence in?
You're signing the word silence.
Yeah.
Beautiful.